Warner Brothers may have just accidentally leaked the villain for the next Superman movie, and no surprise, it's Brainiac. So we're going to break down this new Brainiac teaser and talk about everything we know about the Superman sequel, which apparently will be a super family movie also made by James Gunn. Welcome back, Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Erie, and let's run down everything we know about Brainiac and what exactly this could mean for the Superman and Supergirl team-up movie that we're going to be getting in the near future. Now later, I'm going to talk to Colton and Lee so they can explain how all of this is going to lead into the Justice League trilogy and the culmination of the first 10 years of this DC universe of interconnected films. But first, here's everything we know so far. So the next movie in the DCU is going to be Supergirl, directed by Craig Gillespie and based on the incredible comic book Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bill Evely. Supergirl had a very different past from Superman. She and her people survived Krypton's explosion, only to slowly die of kryptonite poisoning afterwards. Supergirl watched everyone she loves die, which is why she likes to go to planets with red suns so she can actually get drunk and forget about her trauma. The movie is also going to feature Lobo as the villain. Now, he is a badass space biker and long overdue to appear in a film.
Lobo! Lobo!
And of course, he's being played by Jason Momoa.
My man!
Supergirl is just the next step in the sprawling DC universe that Gunn and Peter Safran have planned out over the next decade. Now, they did announce a few of their starting projects, but they also keep adding in more, like the Clayface movie written by Mike Flanagan. And even though they haven't said so, we assume that all of this is going to culminate in a Justice League movie or trilogy. In fact, there are other recent news that makes it seem like the Justice League plans are actually being accelerated, but more on that later. Now, Variety recently reported that Gunn is planning to write and direct a sequel to Superman that is about the whole super family, meaning Superman, Supergirl, and of course, Krypto.
Krypto! Ow! Ow! Stop it! Stop! Sit!
And in this movie, we will hopefully see Superman return to space.
Return to space?
Yeah, I think that David Corenswet Superman has been to space before because he casually mentions wanting to take the kaiju to an intergalactic zoo. So in this first movie, we saw that the only thing on Earth that can defeat Superman is a clone of himself. So it would make sense if he had to leave Earth to find a new challenge. And that challenge will be Brainiac. And get this, a few days ago, a Warner Brothers documentary about Superman leaked on YouTube. Basically, the unlisted link got out there early. And in these storyboards, you can clearly see early designs for Brainiac. And I am so excited for this and to talk about which version of Brainiac we could be seeing in this universe. Watching Superman, especially the silly parts, really takes me back to my childhood and watching the Super Friends animated series or the Christopher Reeve movies. And those films still hold up today because I can also appreciate the beautiful writing, special effects, and score. It's like the best parts of my childhood and adulthood rolled into one. A lot like this Magic Spoon cereal.
Now, person, watching cartoons doesn't mean you get to eat that sugary cereal.
Oh, but this isn't unhealthy cereal. This is Magic Spoon that tastes exactly like the cereals from my childhood, but contains 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving. And that's why I love having Magic Spoon as a sponsor of this video. It's delicious and it fits a variety of diets. It's high protein, no sugar, and great for carb-conscious lifestyles. They also have a wide variety of cereals to choose from. Chocolate, fruity, blueberry muffin, cinnamon toast, and their brand new flavor, strawberry cheesecake. It is really good.
Hey, what is that? Is that like cereal in a pouch or something?
Why no, this is Magic Spoon's brand new granola. It has 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugar, and it comes in flavors like honey, almond, and my personal favorite, peanut butter. The granola is great for eating with yogurt and milk or just as a snack. Guys, I love this cereal. I have a bowl every morning and you will not believe how good it tastes. In fact, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they are going to refund your money, no questions asked. Mostly though, I love Magic Spoon because it lets me be the kind of adult that I always wanted to be when I was a kid. I can just eat tasty cereals and watch cartoons all day. So use my code ScreenCrush or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal, treats, or granola today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. Now back to what I was saying. Now, Brainiac is one of the classic Superman villains, and he has never technically appeared in a feature film.
What do you mean technically?
Well, the supercomputer in Superman 3 was originally going to be Brainiac, but when they cast Richard Pryor, they altered the story to make him the designer of the machine. Now, Brainiac's origin has changed over the years, but one thing has always remained constant. He is an evil, unfeeling AI. So if Superman is the ultimate expression of empathy, then Brainiac is the ultimate expression of emotional distance. My favorite version of the character was actually from Superman the Animated Series, which revealed that Brainiac was the Kryptonian supercomputer that ran the entire planet and caused caused its destruction. But the more traditional version of Brainiac is that he is an AI who collects artifacts from dead or dying civilizations. For instance, he visited Krypton and shrunk an entire city, Kandor, and then placed it inside of a bottle in his intergalactic zoo. Superman rescues Kandor and keeps it in his Fortress of Solitude while he works out a way to regrow the city and its people. But we think this super family movie could be partially inspired by the terrific comic Superman Brainiac by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. So in this comic origin retelling, Brainiac attacks Krypton and steals Kandor. And even though Clark has been fighting Brainiac for years at this point, he had no idea that he'd actually only been fighting drones, and he never actually fought the real villain. Now, this invasion of Kandor ties right into the origin of Supergirl. It happens right before she left. Just like in her movie, she survived the destruction of Krypton and was in a bubble city until Brainiac attacked. Brainiac could also be responsible for her entire family dying, if they want to tie it closer to the films. And in this comic, Brainiac has a great reason to fight Superman. He's disappointed that this Kryptonian would lower himself to the level of the human race. He tells Superman, physically you are a Kryptonian, but with your limited cranial capacity, you consider yourself human, don't you? Brainiac thinks that Superman has betrayed Krypton by the way he embraced humanity, which would be interesting because this would mean that both Lex Luthor and Brainiac would detest this human side of Superman and would continue the themes that Gunn set up in the first film. Or imagine if in this movie Brainiac was from Krypton, or maybe he was even created by Jor-El to watch over Clark. I mean, we see that Jor-El wanted his son to colonize Earth, and so Brainiac would be an escalation of this reveal, providing Superman with a tangible threat from his past that he can actually punch. But this documentary also features Gunn talking about the color and feel of this new universe. And notice right there they show the big three, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Now, when they announced the initial slate for the DCU, they did include a Batman film and a Wonder Woman spin-off TV series. But now there have been rumors that that Batman movie is on hold and Wonder Woman is being accelerated. But I want to talk about how Brainiac could be setting up this Justice League movie or trilogy, and to help me do that, I got two of my all-time favorite people from his very own Batcave. I have Lee Mazzio and Colton Ogburn, the guy who's trapped in our television but doesn't know it, so please don't tell him. All right, so Lee, you're the DC guy. Like, you're a bigger DC fan than I am, and that's saying something because I own almost every issue of the Silver Age Justice League of America. Applause in the comments, please. You have a great theory here about how the HBO Max series Lanterns is actually going to set up the big bad of the Justice League in the Superman family.
Yeah, so James Gunn mentioned a while back that Lanterns is setting up something that's going to tie into the entire DCU, and I believe his wording was the bigger story at large. A lot of people took that to mean Sinestro. The actor himself said that he would be coming back.
And Sinestro is like the evil Green Lantern with the yellow ring, who we saw.
Yeah, Yellow Corp. And so, which actually still kind of ties into the Brainiac stuff. And so in the DC Rebirth continuity, in Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, Brainiac is introduced in that comic, I think, like, for the first time after a bit of not being in the DC universe. And he takes over a planet, does his whole Bottle City stuff, lures the Green and Yellow Lantern Corps to the city. Long story short, Starro's involved, they beat Brainiac, and it is revealed that that is Brainiac 2.0.
In the Lantern comic book, there's a mystery villain. Later on, we find out in a Superman comic, it was Brainiac 2.0. Got it.
Yeah.
You worded that kind of weird. So I wanted to make sure people watching and listening understood. No, it's fine. You're just not very clear sometimes, is all I mean. Like,
I try.
You could be better at your job.
I know. There are two different versions of Brainiac, though. Like, it's a 2.0 version that is in the Lanterns, and the real Brainiac is in Superman. It's not... It's a whole Brainiac deal, yeah.
Which one is Robert Downey Jr.?
I hate you.
Okay,
so what part of this... Does this tie into the 2008 Brainiac comic that I talked about earlier? Because DC's so confusing. Like, Marvel's had the same continuity since 1961. Every 10, 15 years, DC gets a bug up its butt and completely reboots the whole continuity. So I guess that doesn't matter as much, because they're just going to be taking ideas from different things.
Yeah, so the 2008 one also did get retcon, as DC does, but they kept majority of the Brainiac storyline. The only thing that was mainly retcon is, like, Pa Kent's death.
Yeah, they better not kill Pa Kent in these movies. If they do, then James Gunn has so many daddy issues, because that would be the second lovable father figure he's killed off in a second part of a franchise movie. Okay, so what we're saying is that we think that Brainiac could appear in Lanterns as a cameo, but then the real Brainiac pops up in Superman 2 as teased in this documentary footage. So do you think that then Brainiac would be the villain, or do we want Brainiac to be just the villain for this, or is he, or does this also tie in with them suddenly bringing in Wonder Woman? And also I want to talk to you about Batman. Like, do we think Brainiac's actually going to be a more overarching big bad, or stay confined to the Superman movies?
I hope that he is an overarching big bad. The best thing with Brainiac is even though you can blow him to bits and destroy him, as long as he has a little bit of technology left, he'll live on.
Yeah,
he
like
really is just, completely unkillable. And I think that there are so many instances in the comics and also in the shows. My Adventures with Superman does a fantastic job with Brainiac. I would love to see that sort of involved in the DCU, but I do think he is a character that you can use in the Justice League. They did that in the DC Online game. You can do him with the Suicide Squad. You can have Amanda Waller in some capacity, like in Justice League Unlimited. So I think that Brainiac can definitely be there. I don't want to say Thanos-like villain. I wouldn't really want that to be a more dark side, but I do think Brainiac has the capacity to be big.
Well, Colton, that's the thing, right? So earlier I talked about how in this movie it's pretty well established the only thing that can punch Superman to death on this planet is himself. 1A. So he has to go to space to get a more tangible threat. And I mean, if you're going to talk like big overarching villain in the DC universe, Darkseid's your go-to. I mean, Thanos was invented as an imitation of Darkseid after Jack Kirby left for DC. Where do you see that? Do you think, because Darkseid was also going to be in the Snyder movie, so do you think they'll want to distance themselves, or what do you think should happen here?
I think that Brainiac would be a fantastic choice for their I don't know if this is like a phase one or like a saga one, the Gods and Monsters, but I think Brainiac would be a great villain to have come in for the Superman and Supergirl movie, whatever they end up calling it. That is what I think this movie is going to be. I think in a lot of ways, James Gunn might be like reinventing the wheel a little bit and not feeling the need to have like a Justice League movie that parallels that Avengers movie from phase one, but instead doing like that Superman Supergirl movie that could kind of fill that slot. And I think bringing in Brainiac would be a great choice. You also have like maybe a character like Zod or something that would have been good. But I think Brainiac is a villain that can definitely come in for that movie. And then like Lee said, you can never really kill Brainiac, so he could definitely come back and serve as a bigger threat. I did kind of have a crazy theory I wanted to throw to you guys and ask if there's any comic precedent for it, because you guys know DC way better than I do. In Superman, we have that great line about brain beating brawn. And there's some interviews with James Gunn where he has like hinted at, in this world of metahumans, you may even consider Lex Luthor to be a bit of a metahuman because he is just so smart. Do you see any scenario where they continue the trend of like in this movie where they kind of combine the character of Ultraman and Bizarro, or over at Marvel, they combine the character of He Who Remains and Kang and all of those different characters? Do you see a scenario where Lex transitions into like an AI or something and becomes Brainiac? Is there anything like that?
Lee, I saw the same twinkle light up in your eyes that I have right now. To answer Colton's question, why don't you take it? The idea of Lex and Brainiac being combined.
So, yeah, there is a lot. Specifically, Justice League Unlimited is, TLDR,
the animated series.
The animated series, yes, thank you. Brainiac puts nanites into Lex Luthor during one of their many initial first meetings, and then years later, Brainiac emerges in a very cool way from within Lex Luthor, and it's revealed that he's kind of been pulling the strings all along. I do think that could be possible in the DCU. It kind of feels like James Gunn is not doing Silver Age, but taking a lot from the animated series, and so I can definitely see him pulling from that. I also think with that brain versus brawn thing you said, that quote is nearly identical from a Superman Brainiac panel in the comics where Brainiac says, "You're too much of a brute," and Superman says, "When I need to be." Basically what they do in 2025. So there is a lot of similarities between the Lex and Brainiac, monologue at the end that I definitely do think that they might be alluding to that.
You left out my favorite one. And whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, don't Lex and Brainiac combine and kill they kill Superman? So that storyline is great. Basically, whenever they were going to reboot the continuity in 1986, Alan Moore teamed up with the all-time great Superman artist Kurt Swan to write one last Superman story to wrap up 50 years of continuity. And in it, you know, there's this, oh, it's so good. And James Gunn cited that story alongside All-Star Superman, Superman for All Seasons, Birthright as one of the stories that he was drawing from. So again, it'd be a nice way to escalate. Now, we've talked in the past about, you know, or Ethan Ing, a researcher for us, wrote a great video that talked about how Lex Luthor, they specifically go, this guy's going to Belle Reve when they put him in the car, which is where Amanda Waller is, with speculation that the Waller series could have her using Lex Luthor to create different tech. It could be that Waller has some artifacts from space, and she's like, hey, Luthor, would you mind looking at this? And so he's kind of like Howard Stark looking through the thing, the glass at the Tesseract, but instead he gets infected with the Brainiac virus, which again, could pay off several movies later, maybe against Darkseid and the epic Justice League of America trilogy.
And one of their first team-ups was actually Brainiac breaking Lex out of prison. So he's set up in a perfect area to...
Way back when?
Yeah, way back in Action Comics.
Which continuity are we talking about here?
I'm talking about, like, original Action Comics 1939 run.
Let's transition just a little bit to Batman. Originally, when James Gunn did that, like, you know, kind of a muted announcement to the camera, he ran through some things that we're familiar with, like Swamp Thing and Superman, and some things maybe we're not familiar with, like this Paradise Lost series about Wonder Woman, which is probably about the Amazonian Civil War, which I think would end with the, like, creation of a clay baby that comes to life, which is Wonder Woman. But he also talked about Batman Brave and the Bold, which was a huge departure from every other Batman we've seen on screen, because it was an older Batman who was forced to mentor Damian Wayne, who was trained by the League of Assassins to be a brutal killer. It's a really challenging premise, and it's one of these movies, one of the first movies or shows that was actually assigned to creative. Andy Muschietti, who did The Flash, which James Gunn, by the way, Colton, you'll like this, remember, James Gunn also thinks that The Flash is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, just like you. The guy who, if I could just call up that tweet real quick, I'm sorry, ex-post, real quick, I believe you said it was better than Spider-Verse when it came out.
I still stand by that.
All right.
I would rather watch Flash. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, I'm a defender of the movie too. I thought that a lot of the things people hated in it, like the rubbery CGI, were deliberate choices that they made that were just too effing weird.
Well, can I just say, the Spider-Verse movie, that whole thing looks CGI, so...
Yeah, it did. They didn't even look real. They looked drawn for some reason, right? The weird thing about Batman Brave and the Bold is it's got a competing Batman movie, because they're going to let Matt Reeves continue to do his Batman stuff, which James Gunn, I believe, said, so we're not in a rush, right? Matt Reeves can take his time on the script, but if they're going to do the Justice League, you got to have the big three, right? So, Lee, what is the status and what's your theories on whether or not that Batman movie might be completely scrapped?
Yeah, I live in a delusional world that Pattinson will be our Batman, but I know that delusion is... No, Colton, join the dark side.
Colton,
no.
Wait, get back
Come
in.
on.
Get back in. Okay, all right.
Almost escaped.
All right, let me just adjust the dial here, get him back in focus. Okay, there we go. All right, good.
In reality, though, whether it's Pattinson or not, I do hope that we have the big three in the Justice League. I do feel like he's going for more Justice Society with just the team up that we have right now. So sure. I feel like it might be a little bit more building before we get Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman on the same team. But I do think that Brainiac could be the one to bring them together. Like I mentioned, the DC video game, DC Online. In that, Brainiac invades, he teams up with Lex Luthor, double crosses Lex Luthor after they kill all the Justice League, and then plans to take over Earth. Long story short, Lex Luthor goes to the past, warns the Justice League. I feel might be a little weird, and I'm not a huge multiversal fan at the moment, but maybe if Lex was the one to bring the Justice League together in a means to...
Like Loki brought them together as a villain for them to fight. Yeah, it could be. I still want to see the Legion of Doom or the Injustice Gang. I really want to see like an evil villain team up against a... Because we haven't seen that in all these movies. But just to go back, because you dodged the question like a politician, do you think that we are still going to get The Brave and the Bold, or have they hit some production snags?
From what I've heard, James Gunn has said that there was a script that they saw 3 times from a director that he's worked with in the past. He's not really worked with Muschietti, but they have the same cinematographer. And it wasn't The Authority that he was referring to, because he said that that was completely canned in a different
Oh, he did. He confirmed it's completely canned.
Yeah. There was a video
bummer.
where he was talking with John Cena, and they were like, "Oh yeah, The Authority, ha ha ha," which sucks, but like,
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big swing for them to try that book to begin with, but I mean,
sure.
they did set up the engineer. So you think this other project that's quietly been axed, because he said
Is Brave and the Bold.
script, which implies a movie, and
Yeah.
they're about what they pitched was about 50-50. Booster Gold was a TV series, am I right?
Yep.
Was
Yep.
Swamp Thing a movie or a TV show?
I believe TV show. I'm not 100. Oh no, it was a movie. It was a horror
movie.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it could be that. Could be that too.
Sure.
Colton, do you think that they've made a mistake here with, I noticed you got up and left the picture for a second. Do you think they've made a mistake having competing Batman?
Yeah, well, not a mistake. They just need to pick one. If they're gonna do Robert Pattinson's Batman, commit and do it. Do the trilogy, do more Penguin, and then have the cojones not to have Batman in the DCU. I would love to see them have the can I say the balls, or is that I know I said
Yeah,
the
you can say
cojones.
the balls.
Yeah. I would love
for
to
Spanish-speaking people, you already did.
I already did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see the
Yeah,
difference.
sorry. I would love to see the DCU and James Gunn just have the to do a Justice League movie, and you don't even have to call it Justice League. Maybe from a marketing standpoint, you shouldn't. Like, maybe call it Justice Society or something, but do one without Batman. Do a team-up movie for this first phase that is Superman, the Green Lanterns, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Supergirl. You don't have to have Batman. And then at the end of that movie, you could have Batman come into the fold and, he's like investigating these metahumans or something. Bring Batman in later, like Marvel had to do with Spider-Man. They had no choice. They didn't have the Spider-Man or the X-Men for those early years of the MCU, the first 2 phases. And I think they were better for it because it forced them to commit to making these B characters work. And if there is anything that James Gunn is brilliant at, it's making C and D list characters work. So I think that's something he could totally do. Let Reeves go do his Batman. You don't need 2 Batmans going on at once. Then when that's done, yes, bring Batman into the DCU once you have established it, and it'll be just like when Spider-Man swung in Civil War to an already established universe and just elevated it even more. That's what I think they need to do.
2 things. One, the commenters are already arguing over whether or not it's pronounced Batmans or Batman. Just throwing that out there. So you're welcome, commenters. We don't know either. Please correct all of us at the same time. The other thing I want to note here is I think that would be a tremendous waste. If any of you guys watching follow sports, that for a long time in baseball, the American League teams never played the National League teams, so they were essentially wasting half of their product. When you go back and you read what I think is inarguably the greatest run of the Justice League, which is Grant Morrison and Mark Waid tag teaming JLA, Batman was kind of reinvented as the tactician of the group. He was the guy who he was the leader. Basically, he became the de facto field commander like he was at the Outsiders and the Justice League when they rebooted it in 1987. What I think would be fun, though, is you establish Justice League, Batman. He's a loner. He's, dealing with his own shit with his psychotic son. Then, maybe when the movie starts, he's like, no. Kind of like Wolverine, f off. But later on, he can come in and be like, oh, God, all right, you're doing this wrong. Here's the plan. Do this. That might be kind of fun. Although, as you guys know, I am not a fan of invincible Batman stories where he has a plan to defeat everybody. But I don't know.
I don't want Batman in it. And I say that because I don't want 2 Batai going on at the same time. One, if they weren't doing Matt Reeves' Batman, if he still had yet to turn in that script or wasn't directing it or something, then yes, I'd be saying then just can that do DCU Batman. But if they're doing it, just don't do DCU Batman. Wait 5-6 years. I think they can. I think Superman has shown. Batman is not the only character that DC has, and I know you guys know
been
that.
Saying this for years.
Yeah,
I think Batman's overrated because of that Tower of Babel storyline, which Mark Waid apologized for in our podcast. By the way, he actually said, "I'm sorry that I did that to the character that he turned into."
They just lean on him way too much, in my opinion. So I think it'd be cool if they just said, "Hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it without him," and then. We have something to look forward to. Batman's coming.
I don't know. I agree. It's something to look forward to. It is the kind of thing, though, where I'm like, if you're going to bring the Justice League together, live action, on screen for the very first time ever, never before seen on screen in live action together, it's weird to do that for the very first time and not have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman be a part of their very first on-screen meeting. I can't.
Kal-El, no.
Why was everything red? Why was everything...
Maxwell Lord.
Why was there only one family left in Russia? It made no sense.
There was enough blood to fill the Nile.
She didn't know his name was Kal-El. It doesn't make any sense. All right. Okay, team. I'm ready to rock. Final thoughts here before we sign off. Lee, is it Brainiac? Is it a Superman trilogy that culminates with Justice League and a super family movie? Final thoughts and theories.
I hope it's Brainiac. I want to see him fight a polar bear at the Fortress of Solitude. And if that doesn't happen, I don't want it. No, I do
that
really
was the original John Peter. We did a whole video about it. You guys should watch it. It's great. It's a great inside baseball, Lee. Baseball's a sport, by the way, Lee, if you didn't know that. People
didn't know that.
I was lost.
Yeah, no, I hope it's Brainiac. I really want the Kryptonian AI version of Brainiac. I think that would pull together the Superman family movie so well. But yeah, just Brainiac all the way. If they do Justice League, make it Pattinson, and I'll die on that hill.
Colton, you got any final thoughts before I throw in my thoughts on where Batman should go in his movie or Justice League?
No, Pattinson Batman in the DCU. Lee is wrong. And yeah, of course they're doing Brainiac. Yeah, I mean, that was totally Brainiac in that storyboard. I think it's a great choice. They've been almost doing Brainiac for decades. Like, Ryan, you may have already said this at the top, but wasn't he going to be the villain of the Nicolas Cage one? And
Yeah,
also
I didn't, but that's true.
Yeah, and didn't James Gunn say he considered Brainiac for Superman? So yeah, just let's finally get Brainiac. He's one of the greatest Superman villains. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to end with my 2 cents here, and that is, yes, Batman. Bring us Batman DCU. But if you're going to do Batman DCU, and if he's going to be separate from Pattinson Batman, this Batman needs to go to space. This Batman needs some weird sci-fi shit. It needs to not be grounded. It needs to 1,000,000% be a departure from the Batman we've seen before. And by the way, I was hoping we would get this from Marvel. I was really disappointed we never got a movie where Iron Man was stuck in space or Spider. I thought Far From Home was going to be Peter Parker stuck in space. I want to see these movies get these characters into really cool, different settings away from what they're used to, which is why I think Superman 2, whether it's called Superman Family or whatever, definitely will take place in space because I want to see this guy challenged. I want to see his worldview challenged. I want to see his sense of self as a human being and as a Kryptonian challenged, just like in the 2008 Brainiac comic that we outlined earlier. So thank you, Lee. Thank you, Colton. Guys, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Are you stoked for the Super Family? Do you think it's going to be a whole lot of nothing? And should it be Brainiac or should Toyman be the villain of the Superman trilogy? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below on any of our socials or on our free-to-join Discord server. Buy merch, everything. Magic Spoon's amazing. It tastes so good. We love Magic Spoon. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.